The Awakening Protocol. The Dreams That Changed Everything. Maya Chen jolted awake at 3:47 a.m., her sheets soaked with sweat. The dream had been so vivid she could still smell the metallic tang of starship corridors and feel the weight of alien weapons in her hands. As a quantum physicist at Stanford, she was used to her mind working overtime. But these weren't normal stress dreams. These felt like memories of a life she had never lived. Across the world, similar scenes played out in bedrooms from Tokyo to London. Captain Rex Torres of the U.S. Special Forces sat on the edge of his bed, staring at his hands that moments ago had been manipulating holographic battle displays in his dream. Dr. Elena Vasquez in Barcelona rubbed her temples, trying to shake off visions of genetic laboratories filled with primitive humans being transformed by beings of pure light. None of them knew that their lives were about to change forever, or that humanity itself stood at the threshold of a revelation that would reshape everything they thought they knew about their own species. The genetic puzzle. 3 weeks after the dreams began, Dr. Vasquez made a discovery that would alter the course of human history. Working late in her genetics lab, she stared at the DNA analysis results displayed on her computer screen. The sample she had been studying from people experiencing the strange dreams showed something impossible. Embedded within human genetic code were markers that didn't belong to any known evolutionary path. They were artificial, precise, and designed with a level of sophistication that surpassed current human technology. More disturbing was their purpose. These genetic modifications enhanced physical strength, reflexes, problem-solving abilities, and most remarkably, capacity for strategic thinking under extreme stress. Elena ran the analysis 17 times. Each result was identical. Humans had been genetically modified by an advanced civilization, and the modifications were designed to create superior warriors. The changes were so seamlessly integrated that they appeared natural, but Elena's trained eye could see the elegant engineering behind them. She reached for her phone with trembling hands. This wasn't something she could keep to herself. The day the sky changed. The crystalline structures appeared without warning on a Tuesday morning. London woke to find a massive translucent spire rising from Hyde Park, its faceted surface catching sunlight and casting rainbow patterns across the city. New York discovered a similar structure in Central Park. Tokyo, Paris, Moscow, Sydney. Every major city on Earth found itself host to one of these impossible monuments. The structures were beautiful and terrifying in equal measure. They stood exactly 200 meters tall, perfectly symmetrical, and completely impervious to any attempt at analysis. Government teams couldn't scratch them, couldn't penetrate them with scanners, couldn't even determine what they were made of. They simply existed, humming with a barely audible frequency that seemed to vibrate in people's bones. Maya found herself drawn to the San Francisco structure like a moth to flame. Against all logic and safety protocols, she approached the Crystal Monument in Golden Gate Park. The closer she got, the stronger the pull became. It wasn't magnetic or physical. It was something deeper, as if the structure was calling to something buried in her very DNA. First contact. When Maya's palm touched the crystal surface, the world exploded into light and knowledge. Images flooded her mind with overwhelming clarity. She saw Earth as it was 50,000 years ago, when primitive humans lived in small tribes, struggling against the elements and predators. She witnessed the arrival of beings that existed as pure energy, able to take physical form when needed. These beings, who called themselves the Keepers of Order, had been searching the galaxy for species with the right combination of intelligence, adaptability, and aggressive potential. Humans, despite their primitive state, possessed something rare: an ability to think creatively under pressure and fight with desperate ingenuity when their survival was threatened. The energy beings had modified human DNA, enhancing physical capabilities while carefully preserving the chaotic creativity that made humans unique. They created not just better humans, but better warriors. The modifications were designed to remain dormant until activated by a specific signal, a signal the crystal structures were now broadcasting. As the visions faded, Maya found herself facing a figure of shifting light and energy. The curator, as it identified itself, spoke directly into her mind with a voice like distant thunder. "You are awakening to your true purpose," it said. 50 millennia ago, we shaped your species for a great war that approaches. That war has come, and we require our warriors." The government response. Within hours of the crystal contact events worldwide, emergency meetings were called in every major capital. Maya, Rex, Elena, and dozens of others who had touched the structures were brought in for questioning and testing. What they discovered defied every assumption about human evolution and history. The touched individuals, as they came to be known, displayed abilities that pushed the boundaries of human potential. Rex could process tactical information at superhuman speeds, seeing battlefield patterns and solutions that escaped even advanced computer analysis. Maya's understanding of physics had expanded to include principles that human science hadn't yet discovered. Elena could analyze genetic patterns with an intuitive grasp that surpassed any existing technology. Director Jonathan Hayes of the newly formed Global Response Initiative gathered the world's leading scientists and military strategists in an underground facility in Colorado. The briefing room buzzed with tension as he addressed the assembly. "Ladies and gentlemen, we are facing a situation that challenges every assumption we've made about human history and our place in the universe. According to the testimonies of the affected individuals and the genetic evidence Dr. Vasquez has provided, humanity is not a naturally evolved species. We are the products of alien genetic engineering, designed to serve as warriors in a galactic conflict." The room erupted in voices of disbelief and concern. Hayes raised his hand for silence. "The entities responsible for our creation have returned. They are demanding that we fulfill our designed purpose and join their war effort. We need to decide how humanity will respond." Hidden history revealed. Through the enhanced individuals, more of humanity's true history emerged. The Keepers of Order had been part of a galactic civilization that maintained peace through strength. They identified promising species and genetically modified them to serve as specialized warriors in their vast armies. Humans were just one of many such projects scattered across the galaxy. The modifications were subtle but profound. Enhanced healing abilities, improved reaction times, greater physical strength, and most importantly, an enhanced capacity for strategic thinking and problem-solving under pressure. The Keepers had been careful to preserve human creativity and unpredictability, traits they found valuable in warfare. The genetic changes had been passed down through generations, lying dormant in human DNA for 50,000 years. Every human carried these modifications, but only certain individuals with specific genetic markers could be fully activated by the crystal signals. These individuals became the interface between humanity and their creators. Rex, studying tactical displays that appeared in his mind whenever he concentrated, understood the scope of the galactic situation. The Keepers of Order controlled hundreds of star systems and had created warrior species on dozens of worlds. Each species was designed for specific types of combat, some for space battles, others for ground warfare, still others for infiltration and intelligence gathering. Humans, it seemed, had been designed as adaptable problem solvers, capable of finding creative solutions in impossible situations. The choice. As the activation process spread to more individuals worldwide, the curator delivered its ultimatum to world leaders. The message was broadcast simultaneously to every government on Earth, appearing on screens in secure facilities that should have been completely isolated from external signals. "Children of our design." The curator's voice resonated from speakers that shouldn't have been able to receive its transmission. "The time of awakening has arrived. The great enemy that we have held at bay for millennia is stirring. The devourers, beings of entropy who consume entire civilizations, are moving toward this sector of the galaxy. We require our warriors to take their places in the Grand Army." The holographic image of the curator appeared in command centers worldwide, a figure of shifting energy and light that seemed both ancient and timeless. You have 30 of your days to prepare. Those who have been awakened will be collected and transported to the training facilities. There, you will learn to operate our weapons and starships. Resistance is illogical. You were created for this purpose. To deny it is to deny your very nature. The transmission ended, leaving world leaders staring at empty air and grappling with an impossible decision. Humanity's defiance. In the days following the ultimatum, something remarkable happened. Instead of panic or submission, humanity began to organize. The enhanced individuals, rather than seeing themselves as alien weapons, embraced their role as human protectors. Maya, Rex, Alina, and others like them formed the core of what became known as the Awakened Coalition. We may have been designed as warriors. Maya addressed a gathering of enhanced humans in a secure facility, but we were also designed to think for ourselves. The curator said they preserved our creativity and independence because it made us better fighters. Well, now we're going to use that creativity to fight for our own freedom. Rex nodded, his tactical mind already working on strategies. They made us to solve impossible problems. The problem we need to solve now is how to remain human while dealing with powers far beyond our current understanding. Elena added her perspective. The genetic modifications are part of us now, but they don't define us. We have a choice in how we use these abilities. We can serve as tools for an alien empire, or we can use our enhanced capabilities to protect human independence. Around the world, similar conversations were taking place. Enhanced humans were making contact with each other, sharing information, and preparing for whatever was coming. They had 30 days to decide the fate of their species. The preparation. As the deadline approached, the crystals began to change. They pulsed with increasing frequency, and their harmonic vibrations grew stronger. The enhanced humans reported receiving detailed technical information about starship operations, advanced weapon systems, and space combat tactics. The knowledge flowed into their minds whether they wanted it or not. Maya found herself understanding principles of faster-than-light travel that human physics had only theorized about. Rex's mind filled with battle strategies for three-dimensional space combat, involving fleets of ships he had never seen. Alina began to comprehend the genetic templates of dozens of alien species, each designed for specific combat roles. The knowledge was overwhelming and wonderful and terrifying all at once. They were becoming something more than human, yet they clung desperately to their humanity. On the 29th day, the curator appeared again, not as a hologram, but as a physical presence in the crystal chambers around the world. Enhanced humans found themselves compelled to approach the structures, drawn by an irresistible force. The time of choosing has passed, the curator announced. You will now be transported to begin your training. Resistance serves no purpose. But humanity had one more surprise for their creators. As the crystals began to glow with transport energy, every enhanced human on Earth spoke in unison, their voices carrying across the planet through some form of quantum entanglement the curator hadn't expected. We choose to fight, they said together, but we fight as free humans, not as enslaved warriors. If this war is as important as you claim, you need allies, not tools. We offer our partnership, not our servitude. The curator's energy form flickered with what might have been surprise. In 50,000 years of creating warrior species, none had ever negotiated the terms of their service. The transport energy paused, and for the first time since their arrival, the keepers of order faced something they hadn't planned for, a species that refused to be anything less than partners in their own destiny. The Galactic Uprising. The Alliance forms. 30 days after the curator's ultimatum, the world had changed beyond recognition. Enhanced humans numbered in the thousands now, their abilities growing stronger each day. What surprised everyone, including the curator, was how they chose to use their newfound capabilities. Commander Sarah Blake, formerly a NASA mission specialist, now led coordinated efforts between enhanced humans across all continents. Her enhancement had given her an intuitive understanding of three-dimensional space navigation and fleet coordination that surpassed anything human military had ever achieved. "We're not rejecting the fight," she explained to world leaders gathered in the expanded Global Response Initiative headquarters. "We're rejecting slavery. If this enemy is as dangerous as the curator claims, then the galaxy needs warriors who fight by choice, not compulsion." The enhanced humans had spent their 30 days not just adapting to their abilities, but organizing themselves into a unified force that maintained connection to their unenhanced human families and communities. They refused to see themselves as separate from humanity. They were humanity's representatives in a larger cosmic struggle. The rebels' message. On day 31, as tensions reached their peak, something unexpected happened. A new signal penetrated Earth's atmosphere, different from the curator's communications. This one carried with it a sense of urgency and desperation. The message materialized not through the crystals, but directly in the minds of every enhanced human simultaneously. The voice that spoke was clearly alien, but unlike the curator's commanding tone, this one pleaded. "Warriors of the third spiral arm, I am Zeph-9 of the Liberation Front. Do not trust the curator's promises. The keepers of order have enslaved dozens of species under the guise of protection. We who rebel against their rule offer you truth and alliance." The alien's mental voice carried with it images, worlds where warrior species lived in golden cages, fighting the keepers' wars but never allowed to develop their own civilizations. Species that had been modified and controlled for so long they had forgotten what freedom meant. Maya felt tears streaming down her face as she experienced the memories Zeph-9 shared. Entire civilizations reduced to military castes, their creativity and independence systematically bred out of them over generations. The keepers of order maintained peace through complete control, and their definition of order left no room for the chaos of true life. The real enemy revealed. Zeph-9's transmission continued, revealing the truth about the approaching threat. The Devourers were real ancient beings that consumed not just matter and energy, but the very concept of existence itself. They left behind not empty space, but nothingness so complete that it erased even the memory of what had been there. "The Keepers fight them," Zeph-9 explained, "but their methods are flawed. They seek to create perfect order to oppose perfect entropy. What they don't understand is that chaos and creativity are the only forces that can truly counter the Devourers' hunger for non-existence." The images that accompanied this revelation showed previous battles between the Keepers and the Devourers. Perfectly coordinated fleets of warrior species following predetermined strategies, only to be systematically dismantled by an enemy that adapted to every ordered response. "Humans were their latest experiment," Zeph-9 continued. "You were designed to retain your chaotic creativity while gaining the tools to fight on a galactic scale. But the Keepers plan to control that chaos, to channel it according to their strategies. This will destroy the very quality that makes you potentially effective against the Devourers." Rex felt the tactical implications clicking into place in his enhanced mind. "We're not just warriors," he realized aloud. "We're evolution in action. The Keepers created us to be something they could never be. Unpredictable." The Curator's dilemma. The Curator materialized again, its energy form flickering with what the enhanced humans were learning to recognize as agitation. For the first time since contact began, it seemed genuinely uncertain. The rebels' words carry truth, it admitted reluctantly. The Keepers of Order have maintained galactic peace for 50,000 years through control and predetermined strategy. Yet the Devourers continue to advance, consuming systems at the galaxy's edge. "Our methods may require adaptation." Elena stepped forward, her genetic knowledge expanded to encompass the alien physiologies she now understood. "You created us because your own species can't innovate anymore. You've become so focused on order that you've lost the ability to think outside established patterns." The Curator's form solidified slightly, taking on a more human-like appearance. "This is correct. We have achieved perfection in our methods, But perfection cannot adapt to what it has never encountered. The Devourers represent something beyond our experience, organized entropy that learns from each engagement. Sarah Blake saw the opportunity and seized it. Then you need partners, not slaves. You need species that can surprise you, that can develop tactics you would never consider. You need the chaos you've been trying to eliminate. The Devourer Vanguard. As if summoned by their discussion, alerts began screaming across Earth's newly enhanced communication networks. Deep space monitoring stations, both human and keeper, detected massive distortions approaching the outer solar system. Victory through paradox. The battle lasted 17 hours and ended when Maya made a decision that violated every principle of military engagement. Instead of attacking the Devourers, she flew directly into the void space they had created where Mars once existed. Her ship, now more art than engineering, didn't cease to exist as expected. Instead, it began to sing, emitting frequencies that expressed the mathematical beauty of chaos itself. The void space began to destabilize, unable to maintain its state of nothingness when confronted with something that celebrated the beauty of existence. One by one, the other enhanced humans followed her lead. Their ships formed a pattern around the void that looked random but contained hidden harmonies. They were creating existence through the act of defying non-existence. The Devourers retreated, their vanguard pulling back beyond the solar system's edge. For the first time in galactic history, they had encountered something they couldn't consume: paradox given form and will. The New Alliance. In the aftermath of victory, 3 species found themselves forever changed. The Keepers of Order discovered that their perfect systems became more effective when touched by controlled chaos. The Liberation Front learned that true freedom included the choice to work within existing structures when it served a greater purpose, and humanity claimed its place as neither tools nor rebels, but as independent partners in a larger cosmic community. The Curator's energy form had taken on subtle patterns that hadn't existed before, influences from its extended contact with human unpredictability. We have learned much, it admitted. Order without chaos becomes stagnation. We propose a new kind of alliance, one where species maintain their independence while choosing to work together against common threats. Zeph-9 agreed readily. The Liberation Front has always fought for the right of species to determine their own paths. This battle has shown us that cooperation can exist without domination. Sarah Blake spoke for humanity. We accept the alliance, but with conditions. Earth remains under human control. Enhanced humans will help train mixed fleets, but we won't be separated from our families and communities. And most importantly, any species has the right to leave the alliance if they choose. Helena added the crucial point. We'll share our genetic modifications with any species that wants them, but only voluntarily. No forced evolution, no secret programs. If chaos and creativity are weapons against entropy, then everyone should have access to them. The future unfolds. 6 months later, Earth had become the unlikely center of a new kind of galactic civilization. The crystal structures had transformed into cultural exchange centers where species shared knowledge, art, and philosophical perspectives. Enhanced humans served as interpreters, their unique ability to embrace contradictions making them natural diplomats between radically different forms of life. Maya established the first Paradox Research Institute, where scientists from dozens of species worked to understand how controlled chaos could be applied to everything from medicine to stellar engineering. Her hybrid ships became the template for a new generation of vessels that grew and adapted to their crews rather than constraining them. Rex founded the Adaptive Strategy Academy, teaching both alien and human military officers how to incorporate unpredictability into their tactical thinking. His methods spread throughout the galaxy as species discovered that flexible response was more effective than rigid doctrine. Elena's genetic research led to the development of voluntary enhancement programs that allowed any species to increase their creative potential while maintaining their essential nature. The modifications spread not through force or trickery, but through choice and cooperation. The Devourers remained a threat at the galaxy's edge, but they had learned caution. The strange victory at Sol had shown them that existence could defend itself in ways they had never imagined. For the first time in their ancient hunger, they faced opponents who grew stronger by embracing the very contradictions that should have made them weaker. Commander Sarah Blake stood on the observation deck of Harmony Station, Earth's first orbital diplomatic facility, watching ships from 100 worlds arrive and depart in patterns that looked chaotic, but were actually carefully choreographed expressions of organized creativity. "We were designed to be weapons," she mused to Maya, who had joined her at the viewport. "Instead, we became bridges." Maya smiled, watching the Keeper science vessel dock alongside a rebel art ship, while enhanced human children from the station played in the zero-gravity playground their parents had designed. Maybe that's what the galaxy really needed. Not more warriors, but more ways to connect different kinds of life. The war against entropy continued, but it was no longer a war fought through domination and control. It had become something unprecedented in galactic history. A creative collaboration where chaos and order worked together to celebrate the beautiful impossibility of existence itself. And in the depths of space, where the Devourers waited and planned, they encountered something they had never faced before: the disturbing possibility that their ancient hunger might not be inevitable after all. For they had learned that some things, when faced with extinction, don't fight back by becoming stronger. They fight back by becoming more beautifully, chaotically, impossibly alive.